Hello all, it's the Ancient Greek here, and today I'll be talking about the origin of Indo Greek culture. Indo Greek culture starts not in history, but in Greek mythology, beginning with Dionysus' travels to India in order to spread ancient Greek techniques for winemaking and some sort of base Greek culture to the Indian people. And we believe there may have been possibly a early cult of Dionysus of some kind that was inspired by that. That cult, however, may have not been inspired until later when the Indo Greek Kingdom emerged, since the Greeks didn't actually make contact with India until then, because obviously Dionysus is mythology. This is a mythology we're talking about, so you can't base that contact in fact. But yes, it starts with Dionysus, and then it goes to Heracles. And Heracles is the more interesting contact with India. When Heracles came to India, he was gazed upon as a god, maybe even more than that. And he was worshipped as a hero of the land. He was so revered that everywhere he went, everyone would sing songs, praise, and build monuments to him. Although, again, this is mythology, and the monuments to Heracles we do find in India come from the era of the Indo Greek Kingdom, which comes later than this period mythology is describing. The Indians revered Heracles so much, and Heracles actually had a daughter, Pandia. Pandia ended up becoming the eponymous kind of founder of the Pandyas dynasty, which is in southern India. And what's so interesting about this is southern India was never even touched. At least we don't believe it was, because there's no archaeological or literary evidence to support it. Southern India was never touched by the Indo-Greek conquests of the later periods. Not even Menander, who is the Indo-Greek king who was able to get the furthest of any of the Indo-Greek kings, not even he was able to go all the way to South India. This is very interesting that the Greeks kind of conquered India in their own minds before they ever really even set foot in India. After the Greeks conquer India in their minds, through Greek mythology, you fast forward to the time of Alexander the Great, who was born in July 356 BC. As he was growing up, and he was privately tutored by Aristotle, he had dreams of reaching as far as you could possibly go. The Greeks believed that the world ended with a gigantic, like, circular sea that basically circled around all the lands that they knew existed, and the edge of the Greek understanding of what the world was in the east was India. I think if you look at the map, which I will show on screen now, India is like not even fully constructed the way we know it today. Alexander wanted to reach this end of the world and circle all the way back to Greece via that Great Sea. But when he reached India in 326 BC, he quickly realized that the world is far, far, far bigger than any ancient Greek could ever imagine it to be. And so comes the Greek philosophy of the world. So the Greeks always tried to be philosophical about the way they saw the world. They were always seeking to syncretize with different cultures and understand different cultures and find ways to incorporate other cultures into their own mythology. And the funny thing about that is the other cultures also found a way to incorporate Greek culture into their own mythology. So it's syncretism in full swing, isn't it? They would integrate their culture with peoples like the Scythians, the Gauls in the west, with the Greek colony of Massalia, the peoples of Anatolia like the Phrygians, Thracians, who lived in Thrace, which is modern-day Bulgaria, and parts of northern Greece. India was no exception to the Greeks' love of syncretizing with other cultures, and it all began with The Greek settlers, traders, soldiers, artisans are the forms of the settlers that entered India. It all began when they integrated into Indian culture by settling in the eastern provinces of the Seleucid Empire, which followed Alexander the Great when he died in 323 BC, and his general Seleucus Nicator carved out his own empire, taking the core giant piece of the former Persian Empire as his own domain. And he even fought a war with the king of India, Chandragupta Maurya, and no one knows really what happened in this war, how it played out. It's not even certain if it was a win for Chandragupta Maurya or a draw or a win for Seleucus, but maybe he wasn't able to consolidate his gains. But anyway, it ended with him making a treaty with Chandragupta, giving his daughter Helena in marriage to him, and in exchange Chandragupta gave Seleucus 500 war elephants, which Seleucus later used to defeat Antigonus at the Battle of Ipsus, but that's a different story. The Seleucid Empire was very focused on syncretizing with the cultures within it and welcomed the influences of Buddhism in the east and Zoroastrianism at the core and any other minority religions that existed since the Bronze Age in any of those regions, including the Babylonian gods of Mesopotamia. Seleucus was the one who really wanted to bring Alexander the Great's dream to life. He was the one of all of Alexander the Great's generals, the only one who kept his eastern wife, who was Sogdian, by the way. He was the one who loved Alexander's dream, which was to create a balanced state between the Greeks, the influences of the Greeks, and the influences of the barbarian cultures of the East, of those native people that I described being in the core of the Seleucid Empire, which the Greeks viewed as barbarian. Seleucus founded many cities, stretching all the way from the west to the east of his empire, and he planted the seeds of what is true historical Indo Greek culture that finally goes beyond just mythology. Then, later, a satrap of Seleucus's empire named Diodotus breaks away from the Seleucid Empire, forming the Greco-Bactrian Kingdom. And it is there, friends, that I will stop for now. We will continue this series in the next video. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.